Good evening. Welcome to this evening's Board of Education meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to share with the audience that if you are in need of Spanish translation services, we have Lupita here to assist.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes. Estoy aquí para asistir si alguien necesita ayuda con interpretación al español. Is everyone here English speaking? ¿Alguien aquí va a necesitar intérprete al español? Thank you.
Thank you, Lupita. On behalf of the board, we'd like to share a reminder regarding the process for public comments during board meetings. And if you need it in writing, it is on the first page as usual. For each agendized action, discussion, or information only item, the board will hear from staff, provide an opportunity for public comment, then hold a board discussion and vote if necessary. Public comment on non-agendized items will be heard during item 6, and public comment on closed session items will be heard during item 9 before the board adjourns into closed session. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items on the board's agenda or otherwise within the board's jurisdiction. To help us organize public comments using this system, if you wish to provide public comment, please complete a speaker card located at the entrance to the meeting room on the table and provide it to the executive assistant to the superintendent, Michelle, who's sitting closest to the door. Speaker cards for public comment will be accepted prior to the calling for the public comment portion of any agenda item. I call this meeting to order at 5:32 p.m. and would like to establish a quorum by roll call vote.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
May I receive a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I move to adopt the agenda with the removal of agenda item 5F.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you. I notify the audience that the open session will be audio taped, broadcast, and recorded for the district's YouTube channel. And Rita, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure, thank you. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, reports. These are routine status updates regarding campus activities, meeting schedules, and recent developments from our student board representatives and our unions ACT and CSEA, and also our superintendent. We will not have a update from CSEA, is my understanding tonight, unless somebody's here to fill in for Anna. And we will start with Juliet Norman, our student rep. Oh, that's not how it's written, but I can switch to Bill. Let's start with Bill then.
Good evening, Bill Schreier, President, Association of Carmel Teachers. I'm joined by Gina Walcott, who is our Vice President. So thank you for showing up, Gina. Just a few things. I haven't really talked about what I see my role as. This is my second stint as the president after 8 years. And, you know, under our bylaws, I'm supposed to be the spokesperson for the Association of Carmel Teachers, who represent 207 certificated employees in our district. Our model is one of partnership. We've always really tried to emphasize that. I can't say it's always felt that way, but for the most part, that's what it is, a model of partnership. And as I tell everybody, we will not advocate for anything unless the person who wants that can show me how it benefits students. Always. Can't draw a direct connection between something we're asking for and how it benefits students. I'm not interested in the president advocating for it. I really appreciated, is Craig here? I really appreciated the other day in bargaining, because we've been bargaining. Craig took a moment, he said, you know, I'm looking at your team. This is really a group of exceptional teachers. And just so you know, that's by design. That used to be kind of like who drew the short straw. And really, we started to impress upon people this is an important job we have because we do have a perspective to offer. We are closest to the students. We have 6,000 collective years of experience in this district. And we really want to be a partner. So I'm really appreciative that moments ago, Craig contacted me. I was concerned, I'll be honest, I was really concerned about something I heard at the last board meeting about an MPC counselor being on our campuses. That was news to me, because counselors are in our unit. And I hadn't been aware of that. I don't know what their training is. I don't know how they're interacting with students. I didn't know that it was in the best interest of students. I raised the issue, and moments ago, Craig said, let's form a task force so that we can look at these issues collaboratively and make sure that what's going on addresses some of the interests that we might raise based on our experience. So I'm happy to report that it feels like we do have a partnership underway, and thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Next up, Juliet Norman.
Hi, I would like to start by thanking the board and the district for my participation in the California School Board Association convention in Sacramento last week. I met other Board of Education student members from around the state. We discussed issues facing school districts and were presented with ideas for continued advancements and improvements statewide. It was a great experience. Thank you. Here in Carmel, students have been busy getting ready for our winter break. There will be school spirit days leading up to winter break with different themes for each day. So if you see all the students dressed in similar apparel, that's what's happening. Sweaters are a popular theme. The high school will have Ugly Sweater Day tomorrow. Captain Cooper Elementary is having Wacky Sweater Day on Friday, and it's Ugly Sweater Day for kids next Wednesday. Other themes are winter wear, holiday socks, crazy hats, and the much-loved Pajama Day. Carmel Valley High will have their annual White Elephant gift exchange on Friday the 19th. And as this half of the school year comes to a close, Carmel Valley High students will be giving updates on their yearly goals called Exhibitions of Learning. Students present progress they have made on goals they identified early in the year. For music programs throughout the district, this is their time to showcase everything the students have learned during the first half of the school year. We are so fortunate and grateful as individual students and as a community for the continued and expanding emphasis Carmel Unified School District has placed on the arts. The result it has fostered can be seen at concerts throughout the district. The middle school had its winter concert last night, which was excellent. River and Tullarcitos have concerts tomorrow evening. For River, it will be a strings concert, and Tullar will have its 5th grade music concert. The high school's winter concert is this Friday night. The 6th grade Cougar Cub Band and Orchestra performs on the 16th. River Band and Choir concert is on the 17th, Tullarcitos Kinder Band performs on the 18th, and Captain Cooper's Winter Sing is Friday the 19th. It will be held at 11 a.m. at the Big Sur Lodge. Our students have also been sharing their music with the community. The Tullarcitos Choir sang at the Carmel Valley Tree Lighting, and River School performed at the Carmel by the Sea Holiday Lighting. The schools are also sharing their talents with one another. Last week, musicians from the middle school music department visited Tulare and River Elementary schools to perform for them. And today, high school dance and video classes went to Carmelo. Seeing the older kids perform is not only entertaining, it also inspires the younger kids to pursue the arts by seeing the enjoyment and being able to see the same potential for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. And as I noted before, we do not have anybody from CSEA here to provide a report. Next up is our superintendent, Sharon Ofek.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to use my comments tonight to invite Caton Avila to the podium. Mr. Avila will be sharing a very special and previously unannounced recognition to one of our board members. So I turn it over to you.
I wonder who. Hello, CSD board, and thank you, Sharon, for including us in your superintendent comments. I'm really excited for this. My name is Kate Navilla. You all know me as the PE teacher at Tular, but I'm here to speak on a different topic. For those of us who live in Carmel Valley, there is one community-wide award that is the most coveted. It is the Good Egg Award. This award is typically limited to two individuals each year in Carmel Valley that demonstrate leadership attributes and a commitment to improving the lives of others in our community. In order to be in the conversation for the Good Egg, years of service and hours of dedication need to be observed from a variety of community leaders. Thus, it is truly the highest honor for someone in our community to be given such a great award. As you can guess from those in attendance and myself as the one speaking, I'm here to announce this year's Good Egg Award winner as our Carmel Unified School District board member, Jake Odello. And I'm just the preamble to the real guy, Mr. Alan Crockett, a Good Egg Award winner himself, to come up and speak a little bit about the history of the Good Egg and the nomination process it takes for someone like Jake to reach such a milestone in their lives.
All right. Now that the egg's out of the chicken, I'll add a little perspective. So first off, good evening, everyone, board members, guests, and a hearty congratulations to our newest egg, Jake Odello. My name is Alan Crockett, and I had the pleasure of nominating Jake to become a Carmel Valley Good Egg Award recipient. When announcing the winner, we like to surprise them. How did we do? That's great. So in a public setting where their peers, friends, family can share the joy. This is a perfect setting for that, and I appreciate Caton making the arrangements as well as being my partner in crime, putting together all of Jake's accomplishments. The formal award ceremony is March 29th, and the public is welcome to that. It'll be at Hidden Valley. You're available, I presume. For perspective, for those that aren't aware of the Good Egg Award, I'll give you a brief explanation. The Good Egg Award started in 1953 and typically recognizes a person that has made a positive and sustained impact in Carmel Valley. It is an individual who gives of themselves unselfishly, without thought of monetary compensation or public recognition. That criteria embodies Jake's amazing commitment to Carmel Valley and beyond. His persistence, positive attitude, and desire to lift up others is remarkable. So, in turn, Jake, Carmel Valley says thank you by awarding you with the 2026 Good Egg Award. So, if anybody would like to come up and congratulate him, now would be the time.
Can we make a motion to take a 5-minute recess? so
I'd
Jake
like
can
to
get
make a
congratulated?
motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Second. There's a motion and a second for a recess.
Do we need to vote? Okay, perfect.
There's a motion and a second for a recess.
Board President Jason
Yes.
Ramonsi. Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know. We'll see. Fire department's not here. I know. Oh, hey.
Thank you for sharing that with us. That was fun. All right. We are back reconvening after 5. Congratulations, Jake, and I'm super excited the community chose this spot to celebrate you. You deserve it. On to the work. Agenda item 3, consent calendar. The board may bundle a number of items and act upon them together in one motion through the use of a consent calendar. Consent agenda items are routine items deemed to be non-controversial for which board discussion is not anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. There will be no discussion on these items prior to the vote unless any members of the board request specific items to be removed for discussion. The board did not receive any requests for public comments on the consent calendar, so may I receive a motion to approve item 3, the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 4A, special education presentation 2025 to 26 with Director of Special Education Steve Gonzalez and Program Specialist and School Psychologist Julie Ramirez.
There we go. Thank you for having us this evening, and congratulations again, Mr. Odello, on your egg award. Tonight, I'm also going to have Mrs. Julie Ramirez with us presenting towards the mid of the slides. I want to give a big shout out to Mrs. Sarah Burkett. She came into our department towards the end of last spring. She jumped right in, and she does a lot of work on the back end, really supporting our department, supporting our school sites, ensuring that we're complying in regards to both inputting the data, but also getting us the resources and supports that we need on a daily basis. So just a big applause to Sarah as we move forward tonight. Okay. Oh, thank you. There we go. Okay, thank you. So tonight is really just really an overview, providing a mid-year report of the department and the resources, the allocation of the resources, and the students that we are supporting in the district. You can see here the progression of special education enrollment starting with 2017, 2018, all the way to the present. And what you will see is, you can see the trend line from 2017 all the way through 2025, last year, is increasing steadily. And then you can see somewhat of a plateau the last few years. The blue bar really indicates the end of the year numbers, and the green bar on the bottom indicates our October 1st numbers as of this year. So what we do anticipate is, when we look at our pending assessments, the students that we are currently engaging in an assessment for a psychoeducational evaluation and considering for special education, that we do anticipate that we will be most likely around above the 300 mark in terms of the number of our students that might be eligible for special education, or similar to last year, around 340. When we take a look at our students who are eligible for special education, there really are 13 categories that we can consider when we are engaging in an assessment for special education. And what you see here are the primary numbers, or the students that are eligible based on the primary eligibility that we're finding students. For instance, specific learning disability. About 46% of our students are eligible for specific learning disability, and 4% emotional disability, and 9% autism, and 18% speech and language, and 23% other health impaired. Most of our students, again, are being educated in the general education classroom, along with receiving related services. One of the things that we also want to note is that although a student might have a specific learning disability, we are also supporting, based on the student's needs, we may be supporting a student both behaviorally and also still be providing mental health supports. So it really is individualized. When we take a look at our service delivery, this slide shows all of the staff by their FTE. So it really shows that where we are allocating most of our supports is really providing the direct supports to students where they're at the school site. You can see most of our allocation is with special education teachers and also our special education paraeducators. You'll also see our behavior paraeducators as well as our school counselors. And a number of the staff that you see on this slide about 8 years ago were not on the slide. So for instance, our mental health clinicians, that's a new member of our family. And then also our behavior paraeducators, they were not on this slide 8 years ago. So that was something where we really looked at the needs within the district, how we can increase our support for our students and our school sites. And we allocated the funding to hire within.
May I make a comment? So you heard Dr. Gonzalez say FTE. FTE stands for full-time equivalent. Yes. I know in education we use a lot of acronyms, so I just want everyone to understand full-time equivalent equals a full-time employee. So for example, in some of these you will see, I think the best one is adaptive PE teacher. 0.6. It doesn't mean that that PE teacher doesn't have a full-time job. It just means that that PE teacher spends 3 out of their 5 days or 3 out of their 5 periods teaching adaptive PE and focused on this specific need that our district has. So I want you to understand that when you see special ed teachers 18.8, you know, what that means, because you might be thinking, how can you have a fraction of a person? So it's a full-time equivalent.
Correct.
Just wanted to explain the acronym.
Yeah, thank you. And the adaptive PE is also a new member of our district. 3 years ago, we didn't have an adaptive PE. We would contract out, so it's wonderful to have Mrs. Tarr in our district to providing those services. So she has also done a lot of work in regards to building inclusive programming outside of the classroom, so there's going to be a slide that will show that as well. And now I'll have Mrs. Ramirez go ahead and share with you the continuum of settings.
Great. Okay, well, thank you for this opportunity to share about our department and how we serve students in Carmel Unified. Again, congratulations to you. That was super heartwarming to learn about the good egg, and you are a good egg. We are mandated to provide a continuum of educational settings for students with disabilities, and all of our students are general education first, so that you'll see in the light blue slide or light blue picture. And then from there, some of our students have some related services like speech and language, adapted physical education, occupational therapy, for instance. And then we are pleased to share with you that in 22-23, we actually started a program called the Learning Center. It's not actually a place, although it does reside at Tularcitos Elementary. But it is a program to serve our most significantly involved learners with significant amounts of service provided by a case manager that is, or an educational specialist, a teacher of special education who is specifically serving those students who have the greatest need in our school district between TK and 5th grade. And so they're able to be in a general education class, be fully included with modified or accommodated curriculum and access to educational benefit, and then get all of their related services aligned and coordinated by one case manager. So we're very proud of the students that we've been able to bring home from our regional programs into our Learning Center program. And Mr. Peterson is here tonight. He's the administrator of that program. We really appreciate his support and collaboration. From there, we move to the light green slide, and we do have some special education classrooms. We partner with some local school districts in our special education local planning agency, where we still have a few students that attend those special day classrooms, but we have, in order to bring our own students home, opened 2 special day classes in the last couple of years. One is at middle school, as you might be aware, and one is at the high school. Okay? And they're able to get all of their specialized academic instruction that they require in a self-contained classroom. But I also am very proud that many of those students do enter gen ed electives and other classrooms at the middle school and the high school for inclusive opportunities. From there, in very rare cases, the darker green slide is signifying our partnership with non-public schools. And we do have a few students who attend a non-public school because they do have such significant needs that it necessitates that from their IEP. And then as well, a student or two in our residential or treatment-based placements, and those can be throughout the United States. So that's our continuum of services. From there, I want to talk, I need to do this part, sorry. From there, I want to talk about something that Steve referenced earlier with our full-time equivalent employees being completely dedicated at the highest number to direct instruction to our students. We're very proud of that, that's where our funding goes mostly. And because of that, we are so excited that our recent assessment results from the state testing indicated that our students with disabilities have increased in English language arts by 34.1 points. So that's a combination of the orange bar plus the yellow. They changed colors. That's great. So statewide, students with disabilities increased by 6.2, but our students with disabilities in Carmel Unified increased by 34.1. So exciting. In math, we have a little bit more work to do, but statewide, students with disabilities increased by 3.6 points. And in special ed, in Carmel Unified, we increased by 12 points. So we're super excited about the work that our inclusive programming and training is doing for our students. We really believe that it's because of that inclusive training district-wide for the last 2 years, as well as an alignment of our curriculum, instruction, and assessment department, along with our special ed department, our career technology education department, and our student services, all under the leadership of Dr. Petty with our educational services department. So we're super excited. So moving on from there, I'll talk a little bit about another snapshot that you might be interested in. This gives you another perspective. It shows a comparison of our district to other districts that might be of similar demographic. They may be bigger or smaller. Well, they're probably not smaller, but they may be bigger and have different life levels, but they have some similar demographics, and I think you'll recognize most of them. We outperform the state average in both ELA and math, as I mentioned earlier. We're actually faring better than Santa Clara and St. Helena U.S. Unified School Districts for students with disabilities. We are slightly behind Palo Alto, Pacific Grove, Laguna Beach, and Beverly Hills in ELA, or English Language Arts. And although we did improve in math scores, we still have a continued focus in math for students with disabilities. We do have some room for growth there compared to our neighboring districts that we're comparing ourselves to. So lastly, I want to talk about some inclusive projects. We not only focus on inclusive practices in the classroom, but we want to make sure that we have inclusive practices out in the community. And those are infinite, so we're always looking for more. These are just 2 examples of some inclusive community projects. We'd like to recognize, again, our adapted PE teacher, Mrs. Erin Tarr. She started a collaboration with the Wahine Project. So you see some of the students there who are surfing at Fisherman's Wharf in Monterey. And we've been able to provide 4 opportunities a year for the students to go out and learn how to surf. They get their boogie boards, their surfing instructors, they're provided wetsuits, and they're out there learning to surf. The weather's been great, the water's been great, so it's been a big success, and the kids love it. Even kids that you wouldn't think would like it are out there with no problem. So we're super excited about it, and we're so thankful to Mrs. Tarr for heading that project. We also participate in Special Olympics, and that was super fun. We participated with over 1,100 students countywide, and we were in our first event in the fall was for soccer. The picture that you see on the slide is a recent soccer event, and the student with disabilities is also supported by a peer coach from our Carmel High School. So they had a great turnout, and that was at Salinas High School. So we're excited about inclusive opportunities, but we're always welcoming more. Okay, I'll pass it back to Dr. Gonzalez, and thank you again.
Okay, so in closing, earlier Mr. Bill Schreier mentioned two key words that sort of resonated with me, and that's partnership and collaboration. And we could not do the work without our collaboration with our colleagues, also with our teachers in the general education environment, and also supporting them with training. So we're continuously looking at that in terms of what does a student need in the classroom, what are the accommodations. So we're taking a look at that, and we're providing professional development, and that's going to be ongoing work. In terms of our successes, we have increased our continuum of settings, as Julie noted. So we've brought students back from the regional programs, and we're also looking at ways to continuously provide instruction in the least instructive environment. We're providing training and inclusive practices. We've really focused on building up our collaboration with our general education students, including them, for instance, as noted in United PE or Special Olympics, and also with Adapted PE. We've scaled up mental health, and that also supports all students, not only students in special education. And our behavioral supports is a priority for us. While we have increased our staff internally, we are looking at ways to continue that process, both not only for individual students, but also for school-wide classroom and within a teaming approach. So that's going to be ongoing work for us at the district level and at the site level. And in terms of next steps, our focus is really going to be aligning our work with the strategic plan. And so that's going to be the roadmap for us and how we engage in that work and continue to create our plans and action plan and then implement the strategies. So thank you again for having us tonight, and we're open to questions that you might have.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you, Julie. The board did not receive any requests for public comment, so I'll open it up for board discussion, starting with Rita.
Okay, just have two questions that I thought of during your presentation. On the page with the different colored slides, the light blue and the all the way to yellow, when are the students evaluated or reevaluated to then move into different categories?
That's a good question. Do you want to answer that? Okay. So if a student is progressing in their goals and the team or the parent calls for an IEP, anyone on the IEP team, and they want to discuss a move to a less restrictive environment, that can be done through assessment. We always look at the data to see how the student is progressing, and then that would require an individual education plan meeting to go over the results of the assessment, develop new goals for that year moving forward, and then talk about what those services are and where they could best be implemented. Maybe it's in the general ed classroom if they've been in a special day classroom, and that would be a huge celebration, Rita. So we would always, of course, honor those requests. It always gives us more information, And then as a matter of practice, we reassess every 3 years.
Every 3 years,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Can I chime in on that? I just want to say that the requirement is to place students in the least restrictive environment and move them to the right on this continuum as needed. You don't start all the way out on the right-hand side unless you have
And then move it.
a lot of data that supports that. So the law is least restrictive environment. You'll hear it referred to, of course, as an acronym of LRE.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then, I guess just overall, I'm really happy with the results. I mean, these are phenomenal. The academic progress is just amazing. So just want to thank you and your team and everyone who's been really working hard on this. And I'm really happy that we're bringing back, I guess, the program back home and the inclusive practice and approach that Carmel Unified is employing. And as far as the CUSD Forward GLOWs and the GROWs and next steps, I want to, I guess, congratulate you on just the GLOWs and also on being reflective and the GROWs and the next steps to work towards for the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Matt?
Thank you.
Thank you for a great presentation. I also want to commend you all on the achievements that you've all received on this, because I think these slides really speak volumes to all the great work that you're doing. I did have just 2 quick questions on the pie chart slide with the primary educational disabilities and where the breakdown is. And I'm sorry I didn't ask this question when we got the board packet, but I was wondering how much of the students that live in each area of the pie chart might be duplicate. So for example, if you have a child with emotional disability, are they also maybe experiencing a learning disability or a speech and language deficit? Like, so how does that relate to this overall pie chart, whether or not there's duplicates within each section?
That's a great question. California Department of Education only allows school districts to identify either a primary disability and in addition to a secondary disability, educational disability.
Okay.
We can't provide more than that. So for instance, if a student does have specific learning disability as the primary disability based on the assessment and the needs, they may also identify that maybe speech and language is also an area of need, and we need to identify it, we need to address it in the IEP, and then they might indicate that as a secondary disability.
Okay.
So, but in regards to this slide, this is really for students showing primary disabilities in our district.
Okay, great. Thanks for that clarification. And then my last is really a comment. I just really wanted to commend Erin Tarr for all of the work that she's been doing. I know firsthand her creativity and her commitment and her dedication to her students is so commendable. I know how committed she is to these students and giving them the best opportunities that they can and the best experiences that they can. And I just think it's so special what she's doing with the program. So I would just like to really give her a huge shout out and a big thank you to all the work that she's doing, along with you two as well. So thank you all.
I can't
We
serve,
appreciate
so
that.
we agree.
Jake?
I just have a couple of questions. Looking at the service delivery slide and FTEs, are there enough special education aides at all school sites for special education students to receive the services they need?
That's a wonderful question. Again, for a student with an IEP, we always have to base our decision on the assessments. So, for instance, when we're looking at one-to-one support or what we call intensive individualized support, we implement a SCIA, a specialized circumstance instructional assessment, to really determine whether or not a student does have a need for a one-to-one in specific areas of the day, or it could be in math, or it could be all day. But it really would depend on the assessment, which really includes multiple observations. It would include interviews with staff, and then possibly also talking to the parents, and then coming back as a team to really then make that determination. And so what you see here is really a process where we then have gone through that process to make that determination, so that it's formalized. We're getting consent to engage in the assessment by the families, and then we're moving forward. So it can be a lengthy process. However, if there's an emergency need, and if it's a safety concern, we work collaboratively with the family, work collaboratively with the district to really ensure that the students are safe and the individual student is safe as well. So in looking at this slide, we do feel like the allocation is appropriate, but tomorrow we could have a need where maybe a family moves into the district. It might be different tomorrow than today, so it really depends on the fluctuation and the fluidity in what we're seeing on the ground level.
Okay. My next question on the continuum, I just want to be super clear on the continuum of education settings. I mean, I think if it's my understanding and from some of the conversations I've had, during site visits or whatever, this district's put in a lot of effort into developing this continuum of education. So the adaptive PE and the special day classes are all part of creating this program. And then I think Trustee Patel mentioned as well that ultimately with this development, that's bringing students back to the district, even for specifically special needs, right?
That is correct, yes. Prior to 2022, we didn't have the classes that we do have now, so we're really grateful for the support to be able to do that and then bring our students back. One of the challenges, because we're such a large, in terms of geographically, we're large. If we do have a student that does come in, that does look like they're on in a more restrictive placement on their IEP already, then that's where we really have to have important conversations in how to support the student when they already have when they already have intensive supports or a setting that we may not have in our district continuum, but we need to talk to the county or we need to talk to regional programming at that point. So sometimes it's a little complex.
And then I also, just the last thing I want to bring up is I too think looking at the California dashboard slides that you added in here for ELA and math, I think we're going in the right direction. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe dive a little bit deeper on what are some of the things this district is doing and your team is working on that is ultimately driving that improvement. And if we keep having years like this, right, we're going to get to a place we want to be, or maybe we're already there, but what is it that you think you can point to that's driving some of the improvement?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, as I mentioned before, there's such a keen alignment between our curriculum instruction assessment department now and our special ed department, along with student services, and even as we develop the alternative pathway for diploma with our CTE team. So it just seems as though everyone is thinking inclusion. We've brought in experts in inclusion to provide training for the last couple of years, and that was district-wide. That's continuing on January 9th. We'll be having a presentation about ableism and breaking the myths and increasing inclusive opportunities. So shifting beliefs in what students are capable of. Bringing students home, I think, is a big intangible you can never measure, because these are our community members. They may be future good eggs, right? And bringing them home so that they can be educated in their neighborhood school district with their peers and neighbors and brothers and sisters is really important to give them those inclusive opportunities. Just looking at curriculum, I can't take the credit. I've only been here 11 months, so these scores don't reflect anything that I've added to, but I just really think that it is the momentum of all the alignment, and then looking at curriculum so that we can provide educational benefit, we can provide modification and accommodations where necessary.
I'll jump in and add that meeting our participation rates in the assessment will also often help this. So we've reported for the last several years that we've struggled to get our participation rate at the required 95%, but the closer we get to that, the more, that means more students are taking it, including students with IEPs. And so that also helps. You know, this is a massive jump, and I think it's a lot of consistency, but also don't expect it every year. I'm a little nervous about that because you don't know. Kids are kids, and the class going out is different from the class coming in. So, anyway, that being said, I do want to point out that our participation rates have increased, which means we by default have more kids participating in the assessment, and that means all kids.
Thank you both, and I think the highlight for me was seeing the academic progress. I remember when it was identified how far behind some of our special ed students were in math and English, and those are huge jumps. And hopefully we can continue on that trend. I don't have the expectation of those big jumps, but good work, guys, and I think that goes to the whole administration and staff across the district and working towards that goal. And I appreciate what you guys have done. Juliet, do you have anything to add or any questions?
Yeah, I just have a comment. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was amazing, as to echo everything that's been said up here, to see the academic progress that has been happening. I'd like to highlight the special education class. I can speak to the one at the high school. I think it's amazing. They've been really integrated into everything that we do. They're joining clubs and doing a lot of things within our school community itself, along with going outside into the community outside as well. And I think that that's just amazing. And also the unified PE being implemented was also amazing because students were able to work with special education students and really become included in that. And I think that that was an amazing opportunity for all students to be able to do that and work with all students and be included. So thank you so much.
And this was an information only item, so no action taken. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
On to agenda item 4B, presentation on the 2024-25 California Dashboard with Deputy Superintendent of Educational Services, Dr. Mary Petty.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Congratulations, Mr. Odello. I like eggs. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I am super excited to share the most current dashboard information for our school district. The school dashboard, as a reminder, is an online platform that provides a really clear picture, right, for our community of how the LEA, our local educational agency, and how schools throughout California are performing. Both throughout the state as well as here locally. And also it's a way in which we are held accountable, really. Oh, I forgot I have to do this. So here you're gonna see a broad overview of what you would find if you actually logged on to the California Dashboard website and platform. I thought it was important to bring this slide here this evening for our community. Because of two reasons. First, there are performance indicators, right, on the dashboard that are listed by color. So as we know, red indicates the lowest performing indicator and rating, while blue represents the highest. And I will say I may have strategically picked a blue shirt in my closet this morning. New to the California Dashboard, the second reason why I thought this was important is this year they are reporting for us the science scores for our district throughout the state. Please know that the science reporting, though, is only informational this year, but I did think it was important to highlight, as well as the reporting of appropriately placed teachers in classrooms where they have appropriate credentials. So here we begin a much more detailed look of our data. So this graphic shows the performance of our student groups on the dashboard using the color-coded system that I just explained. The x-axis at the bottom represents the California dashboard indicators, which are based on the data consistently collected statewide through the CalPads and other testing vendors that we use. These state indicators include, as you can see on the bottom, ELA, math, the LP reports for English language learners, graduation rates, chronic absenteeism, suspension, the college and career indicator, as well as new this year science. By the way, the y-axis, as a reminder, is a list of all of our student groups. At the very top, you see all students, and below are each of our student cohort data. I would like to highlight that we do have lots of blue and green up on that matrix this year.
Can I make one comment?
Sure.
For people who do want to go online, this grid is referred to online as a 5x5 grid. You can pull it up for the whole district, but you can also pull it up for individual schools. We report on the whole district.
Correct. Thank you. So distance from standard shows how far each group is from the statewide proficiency benchmark in English language arts, with 0 being the standard. So English learners and students with disabilities are 34.4 and 35.2 points below the standard, and both improved from last year. The gray band representing our unhoused cohort of students, which, by the way, is reported as a gray colored band because there are too few students, and for confidentiality, they keep it in the gray zone. They are 4.3 points below the standard, and also showed great improvement. District-wide, all students scored 58.5 points above the standard, and all other student groups are meeting and or exceeding the benchmark. This is a new graphic this year. The dots on the chart show progress over time. So 2023 is on the far left of each of these boxes, 2024 is in the middle, 2025 is on the right. A few key highlights to note: the Hispanic and students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds improved over the past 2 years, moving them from yellow to green and yellow to blue. English learners and students with disabilities also improved, moving them into the yellow performance level. While these groups are still below the standard and remain a priority for CUSD, their upward movement is important to acknowledge tonight. Our all students group increased also from green to blue over the same period of time. Again, distance from standard shows how far each group is from the statewide proficiency benchmark in this slide for mathematics. 0, again, is the target. Our unhoused youth, English learners, and students who receive specialized services or students with disabilities scored 27.8, 51.5, and 70.4 points below the standard and continuously remain priority areas for us. The Hispanic students are now 1 point above the standard in blue. And students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds improved from last year, but are still 5.9 points below. All remaining student groups met or exceeded the standard, including the all students groups, which scored 32.3 points above the benchmark. Looking at the math progress over time, several key highlights are noted or stand out. The Hispanic students improved from orange to blue. That's a big jump. While English learners and students with disabilities moved into the yellow performance level. Although these groups remain below the standard and continue to be the priority, as we mentioned for ELA, their improvement is highly encouraging. Science is now reported, as I mentioned, on the 2025 California dashboard as an informational indicator only. Unlike ELA and math, CAST assesses cumulative science knowledge and is administered only in certain grades. Those grades are grades 5, grades 8, and grades 10. The majority of CUSD students performed in the blue performance range. Students with disabilities and English learners improved from last year and are improving and are performing above standard to the right of the distance from the 0 line. The English learner and Asian group is shown in gray because, again, there are too few students, in this case fewer than 30, for a color to be reported, which also, as I mentioned, does protect their privacy. So this slide shows the progress of our English learners using the LP on the dashboard, which is the English Learner Progress Indicator. LP measures how ELs advance toward English proficiency through their annual LPAC results and the percentage of students reclassified as fluent English proficient. In the educational world, the acronym is RFEP. This year, 60% of our students improved, demonstrating significant progress. Because the LPAC is only given to English learners, the all students band count for this indicator, and they represent all EL students, including the long-term English learners. This comparison illustrates our improvement journey from the 2023 dashboard, where we saw a growth of about 5% in 2024, moving us from orange to green. This is great news as students continue to make small gains in progress toward greater English proficiency. They are more likely actually to perform better in other subjects such as math, science, and English language arts. We also want to ensure that they're developing strong language skills, and this definitely shows that we are progressing towards that. And we also think it's important to highlight when kids are excelling in their language, right, in the English language, in our classrooms, they can actually excel at a much more proficient rate across all curriculums. I hope that made sense. All right, the next indicator we are looking at is our chronic absenteeism. Whereas all the other indicators you are wanting to see increases, here the decreases are much appreciated. Although this will continue to be a focus for our site and district staff, the team was pleased to see this data drop still. Looking at the chronic absenteeism progress over time, boxes here in the trend lines, a few things do stand out. Overall, all students in CUSD continue to show slight decreases in absenteeism, while students experiencing homelessness have decreased over the past 2 years. Graduation rates are a key part of the California dashboard and have a well-documented impact on a student's future opportunities. This indicator reflects the percentage of students who earn a high school diploma within 4 or 5 years of entering 9th grade. Here in Carmel Unified School District, 97.7% of students completed high school receiving a standard diploma. Looking at the 3-year trend lines, our overall all students cohort continues to show an upward trajectory, with a few specific student groups highlighted here for continued focus. Notably, students with disabilities advanced to the green performance level, and our white student group advanced to the blue level. The next indicator is suspension. We are encouraged to see decreased percentages here as well, as our goal is to keep students engaged in school each and every day. The suspension rate reflects the percentage of students who were suspended for at least 1 full day. Students suspended multiple times or for multiple days are counted only 1 time. For all students, CUSD is in the green status with 1.9% of students suspended at least 1 day. Over the past couple of years, each student group has seen a decrease in suspension rates, reflecting our ongoing efforts to keep students engaged in school, not at home. So the College and Career Indicator measures how well students are prepared for college and or careers, using key indicators like A through G course completion, AP courses, CTE pathways, looking at state seal of biliteracy, and meeting standards in both ELA and math. Graduation is a requirement. Without a diploma, a student cannot be counted as prepared or approaching prepared. In CUSD, the all students group improved by 10.4%, as we shall see on the next slide. CUSD has improved our data reporting systems to ensure the accuracy and reliability of this data. This has been an ongoing effort for the last couple of years, which is why the result here from 2023 to 2025 shows that every student group has now shown improvement in this indicator. And I do think this reflects, the impact of many people from the ground up working diligently on data. I will always leave you with this slide of glows and grows. CUSD continues to shine in several areas, including strong student focus and effort, a dedicated and student-centered staff, and I can't say that enough. Active family engagement, in which I can't speak to enough either, and responsiveness. There are measurable growths and improvements across many key indicators in which I think deserve some celebration. Moving forward, we do have focus areas that we will continue to look at, such as targeting student cohort data, right? Looking at differentiated data, disaggregated by student cohort, is super important to our team. It will also better inform instruction, so that's key. It's important that we're also aligning the future of our professional development to the offerings of professional development with those identified needs for our specific student cohorts. And finally, we will continue. There are a lot of people involved in improving the data accuracy and management of our ARIES and CalPAD systems so that this data that we enter in is, reflective of the hard work that everyone is doing in this district. Any questions?
We did not receive any requests for public comment, so we'll move on to board discussion, starting with Matt.
Thank you. I'm really moved by a lot of this data. Thanks.
Oh,
Sarah.
you're welcome. Ditto.
Sarah?
Thank you for an excellent and thorough presentation. I'm proud of the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of comments. I think one of the things that I hear a lot is that if students are in school, they're going to be doing better if they can get to school. And I think is it fair to draw a connection that if we continue to go in the direction that we are with chronic absenteeism, and students are in, and we are helping make sure those students be in school and present, then a lot of this, it looks like there's a lot of data moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. Being in school each and every day is key. What's taught in classrooms, as a former teacher myself, I could tell you that one day is missing a lot, especially for students who are already maybe struggling. So absenteeism is certainly a concern. I think that our district as a whole, I actually would like to give a shout out to our site administrators because they do a lot of work in engaging parents and having meetings to ensure parents understand why it's so important for their kids to be in school each and every day.
And the specific student group that I think it's worth mentioning is the socioeconomically disadvantaged group of students, which continues to grow. specifically in our community. It's a population that continues to grow, and I think looking at this data and seeing the progress of that specific group on a lot of these areas in ELA, math, I think is testament also to if we can get these students in school, they're participating, they're inclusive, and then they're doing better on their test scores, they're learning better. So I think that is something to really look at, and I think it's worth noting that the district looks at those socioeconomic disadvantage like all these other student groups here, but that is one that I know continues to grow. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I think because this data is really good, can you explain some of the district's efforts to focus on data and make data-driven decisions over the last 3 to 4 years?
Well, I can only speak for the last 16 months. My superintendent here can speak before me. Where do I begin? So when I first arrived, it was probably one of the very first things that was brought to my attention from Sharon and several other members of the CUSD district staff, that we had some concerns in some data. And so honestly, we just started to meet on a real regular basis. And we had, a partnership between our IT department, because they handle the majority of the data, as well as members of our Ed Services team, right? Because we're programmed, their data, two entities have to talk, right? To ensure that people understand the data and that we're making all the right decisions in the data. Sometimes that even, meant for some pretty tough discussions. It also meant that we sometimes had to call people at our state level to try to figure out answers to tough questions so that we could understand ourselves how things have to be entered. And I will be honest, the CalPAD system is not very easy to navigate. And I mean, there are some really intelligent people who work in education, and we work with data all the time, and sometimes navigating the system is just not very user-friendly. So we have to rely on one another and also to the state to figure out, what is it that we need to do so that we make sure we have good data going in, so we can see the right results, right? Because it doesn't feel very good when our students and teachers are working really hard and our data doesn't represent that. So I hope that is one concrete example of what we're doing. Sometimes it was 2 or 3 meetings a month, but I would say for the last several months, it's been at least one.
And I'll just piggyback off of that and share that we had some hurdles to overcome coming out of COVID in particular, where we had no collection of data for a period of time. And, COVID in and of itself was a thing to overcome, but then looking at data and looking at student performance, we needed to sort of regenerate that muscle in our district, and helping people to not be scared of looking at numbers, to know how to better serve their students, no matter what role you're in. Takes some time, takes some effort, and sometimes takes some courage, because it forces you to be a little bit reflective, and you don't want anyone. You don't want to wield data as a punitive thing. You want people to be data informed. And you've all heard me talk about this for years now. Data driven is one thing, but data informed is even better and more important, because the data might say, this is what you should do, but that data might have been gathered and collected in a community that's unlike ours. So you have to also know how to apply what it is that you're doing, and just creating the opportunity to look at data, to gather data, to share data for the right reasons is really important, and to eliminate or reduce at a minimum any concerns or fear that people have, and to get people into a continuous improvement mode in their minds. And that takes time. And I think we're seeing the benefit of just having the conversation, just asking people to look at information, providing the data to the sites, and helping them to help their staff as well.
I will just say to close, and I think it's fair to say that this district is working towards this a very data driven and data informed mindset, which I think is important. And I will say that when this data came out, it was super exciting, and I'm glad you wore your blue today. And I think this is great data, and it's a reflection again of the work that our faculty, our staff do, and just the culture of this district and the school site leadership, and how all that comes together to really make this happen, and we're seeing results of that. But I want to also acknowledge the work that the students put in, and what they do to show up in class every day, to participate and to do the work that it takes, and to take these seriously, and to make their district proud. At least their board member is proud of them, and I'm proud of what the students do every day, and I hope we continue to utilize this data and continue to help them thrive. And it makes me very proud to be here, and I think this is why we're all here today. And so thank you very much, and thank you for what everybody does here.
Thank you.
Jason, can I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm out of order. Just regarding the data, the color scheme is about delta, not about performance indicator, right?
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding clearly that when we look at this data, we're looking at change over time, and that is the indicator of movement. So that's kind of what these 3-year bubbles give us as in terms of what we're looking at. So green is good and green is change in the positive.
Correct. And I know you're not really asking, but I'm going to just share this because I did research so that I could make sure I understood this well enough to speak on it. That 5x5 grid that Superintendent Ofek shared, her information on, the colors, they don't change solely on a single point increase, right, or a decrease, because it uses that system. It focuses on current year performance, so the status of the current year, as well as the year-over-year difference for change. So I hope that also helps, because there's a lot of questions, and if you study the dot colors pretty carefully, you'll have some questions like, well, how come we moved up but the color either stayed the same, or sometimes you see some decreases, right? And that's because the 5x5, nothing can ever just be easy, right? But the 5x5 grid is rather complex.
And each domain that is measured has a different criteria for the color assignment. So it's inconsistent as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary, for that thorough presentation, and I appreciate the progress, and that's nice to see. Rita, you're up.
Thank you.
I didn't have any questions. However, Sharon, when you mentioned about disseminating the data to the sites, how is that done? Is it through principals, through meetings? How does it get to the teachers, I guess?
Sure. So I think that's variable based on site leadership. But what we've done is we swapped out, we had a platform that was basically not being used by anyone. That was a data visualization platform, meaning it takes all the data and makes it user-friendly, data visualization. It wasn't being used by anyone, and it wasn't actually very intuitive to use either. There are a lot of people who think it's amazing. So it's, but it is absolutely a complex tool, and it wasn't being utilized whatsoever. So we ended that contract and vetted some other possible vendors and brought on a new platform, and that is from my level and from Dr. Petty's level, we provide professional learning opportunities during our principals meetings and offer through our ed services team, with the CIA team in particular, I think, who are out there helping out with site administration to help them do whatever it is they think they need to do with their staff. And then we also have some pretty talented IT folks who partner with our CIA team and can create special reporting for them. So I'll let Dr. Petty I'll turn it over to her for some additional detail, but overall it's an opportunity. But it started with, if you have a product and a tool that if you have a product and a tool and you don't hear a single conversation about data, something's wrong. And that's where we were in 2022. And now here we are with a better platform, more user-friendly. None of them are like, point and click, but much better tool. And so we started there, and then we are trying to just roll it out. And at some point we will have a public-facing dashboard, at least for this information.
Soon, we hope. But something else that has been done is Andrew Rodriguez, one of our CIA coordinators, at the beginning of the school year, made each and every one of our site administrators or principals a CASP data platform slide deck, and met with most of them over the results from the CASP testing. And so most of our principals have had this information for quite some time. I failed to mention tonight, this is always in arrears, right? This data is always in arrears. So we are exposed to the data early on. It's just not out for public release. So principals do have access to most of this data early on, and they do share with their staff.
Yeah, the CASP data we reported on several months ago, that is a massive contributor to the dashboard.
Yes.
Other data trickles along all year long.
Yeah.
The dashboard is just the summary of all of the different metrics.
Okay. So no more questions, but I wanted to say I really liked this presentation. I liked especially the trend lines, because I like to see what's happened in 23, 24 and compare. And so thank you for a really good presentation. I really like it, and congratulations to all the great results with
I'm just going to say, Rita, we have some work to still do. We're not done yet.
Yeah, the growth, that's...
But we're super excited.
Yeah, it's really, I feel like we've turned like the COVID ship or something. It feels good. I like the data that I've seen here and then in the special education data. And so I'm really happy today. Not that I'm not, other days, but I didn't really have too many questions when I was reviewing both. I was really reviewing both presentations and really happy and excited to see all this this good work that's being, I guess, translating to data so you can see it and feel it. So, but good work to you and your entire team, Andrew and everyone who's behind the scenes. Thank you for a really good presentation.
Thank you.
Juliet, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so actually at the conference that I went to last week, a big part of it was looking at the California dashboard and analyzing what it meant and all of that. So this was very good to see. And it kind of, I think what's amazing and what a lot of people don't understand is, like, since I was with so many different school district representatives, they were looking at theirs and we were comparing and going around and seeing what we were doing well and what other schools were doing well and comparing that type of thing. And I think that what's really amazing is just how exceptional our data is, because I think a lot of people probably don't understand, like, this is not the norm for a lot of school districts. And so just seeing that a lot of school districts don't have this experience of seeing the data and having it all be, most of it be blue, and then like our lowest for overall is yellow, which is amazing. And so I think it really speaks volumes to what's being done in the classroom and by administrators as well, and obviously by the school board as well.
And let's not forget our teachers.
Yeah. Yeah, in the classroom. So yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Juliet.
Can I just make one comment? I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just also want to underscore, what everybody on the dais here has said and what you've also said, Dr. Petty. I think one thing that's important to highlight is the consistency and the stability in the district office staff, right? To take on this project really of kind of looking deep inside our data and what's missing and what's needed and what we need to do going forward. I think that we haven't had that in years past. So I just want to thank all of you for making, this project, if you will, a priority. And really, I know that there was a lot of cleanup, like you mentioned. So I know it's been an effort. And so I just wanted to thank everybody for really being consistent and stable and really pushing forward on this, because I know it's not an easy lift. So thank you all.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. This was an information-only item, so there will be no action required. Agenda item 5C, proposed courses and course revisions for the 2026-27 school year with Deputy Superintendent of Educational Services, Dr. Mary Petty Still.
So for the 26-27 school year, Carmel Unified is proposing several new courses to expand student learning opportunities. We have, as you can see, Art 4, Biotech 2, and Forensic Science at Carmel High School, as well as Introduction to Horticulture at Carmel Valley High School. In addition, we are proposing some course revisions, Photography 2 at Carmel High School, and Horticulture also at Carmel Valley High School to update curriculum and better align with student needs. It is our recommendation that the Board of Education does approve these new courses and revisions for the upcoming school year.
Thank you. The board received no requests for public comment. We'll open it up for board questions, starting with Sarah.
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Wow, okay.
Jake?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Rita?
No questions.
Matt?
I do not have any questions.
Juliet, do you have anything to add?
I do not have any questions.
All right. I forgot myself. I'm super excited to see the Photography 2 coming back because I took photography for 3 years right after the lab had all burned down. So we were like, it was a longer story.
I'm super excited about Forensic Science. That is massive.
I watched
I'm
too much
dating
Forensic
myself,
Files and I
but you
avoid it.
used to not be able to find anything forensic psychology or science on the West Coast ever. So
It's good. We're cutting
it's
edge.
exciting, yes.
May I receive a motion to approve the 4 new high school courses and 2 course revisions from the 2026 to 27 school year as presented?
I
Yes.
move. Sorry. I'll second then.
Okay. I move to approve the 4 new high school courses and 2 course revisions for the 2026-2027 school year as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Agenda item 4D, Facilities Master Plan Update with Chief Operations Officer Dan Paul.
All right, this is an update on the progress in the facility master plan. We passed or approved a contract for the architect in September, and we've done some preliminary work. The state has not released their guidelines for facility master plans. They required an update to the process when Prop 2 was passed last year. So we've done some preliminary work, but we're waiting for the state to release their guidelines, and then we can finalize some of these items. One of the initial projects was assessing the facility conditions, capacity, and educational adequacy. And under the completed topics, the structural, mechanical, and electrical safety systems, a lot of that was assessed when we did the 2019 facility master plan. And this was just adding on to that 5-6 additional years and assessment of the condition of the equipment, review of some maintenance records, and the installation history. If you remember, or maybe you weren't around at that time, we did most of our modernization prior to 2005. So when you look at our furnaces and our fire alarms and the equipment in the classrooms, it's all that age. It's 20 plus years old. Like the high school's the oldest. It was one of the first sites modernized. So we've got a pretty good handle on that. We identified deferred maintenance versus modernization. That's 2 different things that some people confuse. Deferred maintenance is restoring something to its original condition. You're putting a new roof on of the same type. You're painting the building. You're replacing the door with the same door, carpet, things like that. But modernization is really improving the performance, the efficiency, meeting new standards or educational technology needs. It'd be something like installing high efficiency heating and air conditioning equipment, or dual pane windows, or insulation, infrastructure to support current technology. So there's quite a difference there. We have a great need for deferred maintenance. There's also, again, we modernized in the early 2000s the educational process and the needs for technology, and the efficiency of equipment has changed quite a bit in the 20, 25 years since then. Enrollment trends versus building capacity. We had a presentation from a demographer looking at our trends for the foreseeable future. I've been here long enough to know that it's hard to do in this district, and I've seen the swings between the lows and the highs. It seems we're in a low right now, and things can happen that will change the enrollment that are unforeseen. Right now, our capacity is fine. We're in good shape at all the classrooms, but we continue to watch it because you can see we have some housing projects in progress. There's also some work to try and lift the ban on drawing the water from the Carmel River, which would open up housing permits. So we watch all of that, but right now our capacity is adequate. And then classroom sizes and support areas. Most classrooms in the district meet the state standard of 960 square feet. The big exception is Carmel Middle School. For some reason, when they built the middle school, the classrooms are about 200 square feet smaller than standard. And it actually came up when I met with the middle school staff, where they mention it, that it makes the classrooms feel cramped. And one of the things we did in the bond, or in the modernization work in 2002, 2003 was install storage walls in every classroom. Well, now you took another 90 square feet out of that classroom. So the request from some of the teachers, interestingly, was, can we take those out so I can get some floor space back? So it's something that we need to look at is the classroom sizes and the support areas. A lot of our design work over the past 20, 25 years for projects, support areas were included because we had a corner we didn't know what to do with. So it turned into a space that would be used for small instruction or some other use. It wasn't really designed for that. So what we envisioned 20 years ago or 15 years ago when we built it is not really adequate for what we're trying to do in this space now. So there is some work to do in classroom sizes and support areas. Engaging stakeholders. I met with staff at each site with the exception of Carmel High School. I'm meeting with the high school staff tomorrow. I met with the Carmel High School Student Advisory Council today, and I presented a brief overview of potential projects and some of the work that was done as part of the previous master plan. The staff feedback focused on a few themes. The classroom environment. One of the things that came up was the heating and air conditioning. The high school's always had a problem with high temperatures. If you look at the classroom wings, you get the huge single pane, south-facing windows, no insulation, and there's just a heat sink that continues to heat up during the day. The middle school brought up classroom size, specialized room spaces, and electrical needs. What we installed or had constructed in the modernization was based on the needs then. You had a TV stuck in the storage wall, and you didn't have any other technology in the classroom. There were some data ports, but beyond that, there wasn't much. And now there's a lot of technology in the classroom that requires charging or power in locations we didn't even think about. So the request came up to make it more usable and functional, and ability to be flexible. Space associated with programs like Kinder and TK also came up. Our Kinder and TK classrooms are generally smaller than the state standard, and not all of them have restrooms in them. So River School has a couple of classrooms with restrooms in them. Tularcitos has some of their kinder classrooms with restrooms in them. but it came up at both sites that this is a standard we'd like to meet if we move forward. It's really important for the function of the classroom. Sending kindergarten out to a restroom that has older kids in it's kind of daunting to them. So that came up as a high priority. Music classrooms also came up. The amount of, and I've been in the music classrooms, you probably all have, the amount of equipment we have in the classrooms, and then trying to fit a class full of kids in there to do some type of function is difficult. Safety came up as another priority. Higher fences, controlled entrances, tinted windows, better PA notification systems were all a theme. Outdoor spaces were another high priority, and it varied from outdoor teaching spaces to re-envisioning the playground spaces. If you think about Tularcitos Lower Playground, it's been that same way since, I think, the 60s. You've got square areas to play in, your playground equipment's in rectangular boxes, you got sand in one and some wood chips in another, and that's just the way it is. And the staff had a desire to have input if we do work in that area to make it more inviting for the kids. Student feedback from the high school focused on their environment. And the first thing that came up was restrooms. So, yeah, restrooms. And it's, they want more privacy, they want more restrooms in more locations, and all gender restrooms came up. And I know a lot of schools do the private restroom with a hand wash facility outside the restroom. They also asked about the size of classrooms. They wanted to have input that if we were to build things in the future that we didn't reduce the size of the classrooms. And the math wing that overlooks the pool was discussed as the classrooms are the same size, but because of the configuration, it makes it feel bigger in the classroom. It doesn't feel as claustrophobic. The other big thing that came up was cafeteria lines. Just the way the cafeteria sits on the site and the way you serve blocks off a main thoroughfare on the campus. So if we move forward with some level of construction or new construction, being thoughtful about how we queue students up for different activities is important. There were smaller topics like crosswalks in certain areas, lighting at night, but really it was their primary activities during the day is using a restroom to get my lunch. So that came up as a high priority. Project sequencing. This was focused mainly on the high school because of all high schools have the problem of you have a lot of students on campus, you have a lot of activities, both during school and after school, you have a lot of parking. And to be able to get a contractor in and do work and not impact all of that is very challenging. So what we did is looked at some of the projects that were in the original master plan and figured out a phasing plan of how would we make this work if we wanted to do these projects. And we've got a pretty good sequence figured out for the high school. Projects have to be defined, but there's a path to move forward with projects at our most challenging site that would get us where we want to go. There was a question regarding the difference between bullet points 2 and 3. Bullet point 2 is really about the construction sequence, and bullet point 3 is really what's the impact of that sequence on the operation of the campus. And that's the things we try to look at as well as we're doing this project, any project, where are you putting the contractor staging area? What are you mandating as their work hours? And are you trying to phase it to start to do the demolition during a break in school? So there's a lot of little things that go into that. And the last one is the Prop 2. This, we reviewed the Prop 2 information available to date. The state had a goal of releasing their updated guidance by the end of October. They didn't meet that. So really what we're doing now is in a vacuum without their final guidance. We have preliminary work that will go into meet their required format when we move forward. And I am ready to answer any questions you might have.
The board did not receive any requests for public comments, so we'll start with board discussion with Jake.
It certainly sounds like there's a huge, you've kicked off a huge internal effort to really get the information and the data that you need to put into this plan. My only question is, I know in the past I've participated in some stakeholder engagement. Do you have plans to go out to community and parents externally to gather their input as well?
Yes, we're planning a community input session in January.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, Dan, for your work, and I look forward to hearing more about this as you collect more data. Rita?
Just piggybacking on Trustee Odello's comment about the community engagement. So will there be multiple, because geographically we're huge, in Big Sur and then Kashawa, the Valley, and will there be multiple, I guess, stakeholder meetings, or forums?
We'll probably just have one. So remember, this facility master plan was already created. It's not the creation of a new plan.
Yeah.
So we're working with what we have, but updating it to current needs. And also some of those projects over the years have been completed. So those come out of the plan, and the information coming in gets incorporated potentially, or the priorities change, et cetera. So it's revising a plan. And we will do probably one community meeting with everyone. And once we have it all confirmed, we'll push the information out for sure. But we are working on getting all of that sorted out.
Okay. And then I saw, I guess, the Prop 2 requirements. But at this meeting, the stakeholder meeting, will we be talking about the bond possibility, or is it just going to be about the plan?
We don't have that whole meeting all mapped out yet. So the idea, what we plan to do is come to give you progress updates, which is what this is, as we go. We promised that all along, and it's part of the facilities master plan update and securing funding to implement this facilities master plan. The updated facilities master plan are in our CUSD forwards. There's strategic objectives 4.1 and 4.2. So of course, once that was approved in June, we started figuring out what we need to do. The option for a bond will absolutely come to the board with a big old presentation, as we would typically do, and it requires a lot of other information as well. We're not there yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Matt?
Thanks. Yeah, I would advocate also, like Jake and Rita said, for as much community engagement. The elephant in the room being that there is a community interest in participating and seeing what the update is, how it impacts us, and I think it's a benefit to us and if we do need to go to the community for a bond, that there's been real transparent engagement on what it means to update an existing facilities master plan. So I look forward to how that plays out, and prepare for us to continue to advocate for more engagement, so that way there's a deeper understanding of what it is that we're doing. I have a question about the Department of State architects. At what point do plans, facility master plan updates, or maybe this is part of the state not having guidelines yet, but at what point do we go to the DSA, and then what's our process there as far as public oversight or the agency oversight?
The Division of State Architects does not review master plans. The requirements for the Office of Public School Construction, they control state funds, and we'll have some eligibility for modernization funds. And in order to capture that eligibility, we have to submit our master plan as part of the application. But DSA only looks at plans once they're ready for construction. Like this building, once the architect had all the structural, mechanical, electrical, fire alarm, all that work done, the set of plans go to DSA, where they review them and provide comments and corrections. But as far as master plans, they don't get involved.
And remind me about the update of the master plan related to Prop 2. That's a big driver to why we're updating the master plan, right?
It's a driver. We will have eligibility for modernization funds. You become eligible X number of years after your last draw on funds, and we're closing in on that timeline. So we want to have this plan ready. The interesting thing is the initial guidance from the state was that you had to have a master plan current within the last year, a 5-year master plan current within the last year. But if you're a district that's applying for funds every year, you basically have a 1-year facility master plan. So that they're updating their guidance.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
go
just
ahead.
want to chime in on that and also say that with Prop 2 or any state funds, they lag. So it's like a reimbursement in the future. It
Sure.
doesn't, it's not like,
Far in the future.
yeah, it's not, like there's a wait list for the money because there's 1,000 school districts. And although the Prop 2 is great, it's, that's not enough money for 1,000 school districts. So anyway, there's criteria, all the things. But I want to just be clear with everyone that it's not like they're like, oh, here, go do your project. Here's some money. It doesn't work that way. We go do the project, we apply for the reimbursement, but why not apply? And if we are going to apply, no matter how we fund the project to begin with, then we need to have, fulfillment of the criteria.
Right. So our approval of the funds for an architect to update the strategic master plan is driven by what you just said, the desire to be able to apply for Prop 2 reimbursement and to make sure we are ahead of the 8 ball and not behind it.
Correct.
Okay, so staying clear on that. And then my last question is around strategic plan 4.1 and 4.2. The things that are in the facilities master plan are driven by student achievement. They are driven by improving the condition in which we deliver education. And that is the grounding kind of in what Bill said. Everything that is a decision that we're making is to improve the lives and the educational opportunities of students. And so we can be driven by that, linked through the strategic plan as it's written.
Yeah, there's a study that showed direct connection between student achievement and the quality of the facilities. And it's clear in study after study. So we want to make sure we have the best facilities we can for the kids.
And I will add into that, and I'm going to say, there's a lovely famous quote, if you don't like what you see, change what you see kind of thing, where we have classrooms that were built in 1939. The high school opened in 1940, if I'm remembering correctly. And we have classrooms that haven't changed one bit since then. But how much has our world, the world that our students are going into, Juliet, next year, right, come June, how much has their world changed? But our classrooms that we teach in haven't changed. And I think that that's stark. It's a really big issue if we want all of these opportunities for our students. We're, as we've heard many times over tonight, we're doing amazingly well. We have dedicated staff that take charge and run and do amazing things with what we have. But imagine what could be if we have modern environments where we can teach kids.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Thanks, Dan. I just had one quick question regarding the feedback that you got on outdoor spaces, and this just came to me. I'm wondering, did Me Earth ever come up as either an underutilized or a space that's not being used for outdoor learning? And I know that would obviously come up with the feedback that you had with our staff, probably in the elementary or the middle school here. But I was just curious if that came up at all in your discussions.
Yeah, Me Earth did not come up at the elementaries. It was more about outdoor learning spaces with shade at their sites and playground spaces that are more conducive to, rather than just expanses of asphalt.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I also just wanted to underscore that, as we go out and we approach the community about this, that it's really not creating a brand new facilities master plan, right? I think it's important to ensure that, when we put out the messaging, that it's really an update to the existing plan that we have, and we are not creating a new one. So thank you for articulating that, and Sharon as well. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Juliet, do you have anything to add?
I don't have any questions or comments. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. And this was an information-only item, so no action needs to be taken. Thanks, Dan. Agenda item 4E, first interim budget report with Chief Business Official Yvonne Perez.
Good evening. So I'm always pleased to stand before you and update you on our budget. I am one of the few people that find it really, really interesting. Do you? Okay, good. Good, I'm so glad. The first interim budget report is one of the 3 required fiscal reports submitted annually to the County Office of Education. And we are required to present it to the board and have you adopt the first interim report. Has to be turned into the county by December 15th. And so the report is based on the most current information available at the time that we develop it, and based on updated assumptions related to enrollment, staffing, and expenditures and revenue. So the first interim serves as an early check-in, helping the board and staff as well to assess trends and guide financial decisions as we continue to move through the fiscal year. So this is a comparison in the SACS report. We're required to put the original budget alongside the updated budget, the first interim. And so here's this very high-level overview that I like to present to the board, and I will focus on columns D, E, and F. And so the fund balance didn't change from well, it did actually, but we update it from the actuals. And so it's $23,188,000 as a beginning fund balance. We're projecting revenues of $81.4 million. If you'll notice here, we do have a one-time allocation. We've had this for 2 years based on board approval of a grant that we received to use it for operating expenses. So it's very unusual to see a contribution from a restricted side to the unrestricted side, but we did this, and it is helping our financial picture. So this will be the final year. That was for 2 years we've been doing that, and that will be the final year for that. The contribution to special ed is $9.2 million. The contribution to routine repair is $2.6, and the transfer to child development, cafeteria, and OPEB, funds that are not self-sustaining necessarily, well, and that is why, is $1.8 million. And so the total contributions and transfers are $13 million approximately. And so when you take the available revenue of 81 that we're projecting minus our projection of 13 million there, we have available resources in the unrestricted general fund of 68.4 million. The expenditures are bumping that right up against it. You can see the revenues are higher than our expenditures of 67 million. And so we have a net increase before transfer to facilities of $1 million. When you compare that to the operating budget, there was 1.9 million available. And so from the time that we created the operating budget, which of course is created really in the month of May, it's finalized in the month of May or so, as we move through the year, things become more clear. We have positions that aren't filled. In this, between operating budget and now, we've had to add some positions. And a couple of reasons that we've had to add positions is we had some students move in that needed a one-to-one aid until our team can evaluate that situation. So we've had to add some instructional paraprofessionals to support special ed students with special needs. And we also added a psychologist position, and I have a very broad chart on this later in the presentation. So we also added a psychologist position, and that was also added due to data that was presented to cabinet showing that there was this great need for additional psychology services. And so that was clearly demonstrated. This has actually been an area that we've had to add psychological supports through contracted services in the past to supplement what we already had in positions. And so, we made the decision to go ahead and add that position, and it will start in January, and so it's budgeted to start in January. And so those are a few things that have made that change from what you saw at operating budget for the net increase or decrease. We also adjusted the revenue. I don't always do this, but I did adjust, we wait till second interim. I did adjust the revenue just slightly. And then we also look at all of the other sources of revenue that come in. And so it's not showing a great big huge change between the two reporting periods, but there was a change there. We had a grant come in, things like that, so you'll see that. So on the restricted side, you can see that there is a negative, and this is not unusual with restricted accounts, and it's all due to the timing of funds. And so we will book revenue that comes in, and we don't expense it at the time that it comes in, and so the revenue is reported. It falls to fund balance of the restricted side, and then we spend the money. And so the amount is already sitting in fund balance because it's been received, and then we spend it in the current year, so it makes it look kind of funky, but it's perfectly okay. And then we have the combined in in column F, and so because of the amount that we are showing in restricted, the use of fund balance and restricted, we are showing on the combined side that there's 586,000 of a net decrease in our fund balance. And so I added a little explanation on there of what I just explained. Okay, and then finally, the last thing I'll mention is that when we take out that transfer of 400,000 to facilities that the board approved several years ago, 200,000 to support bus replacements, and we will still have some, and buses are quite expensive, and also for deferred maintenance. That is an ongoing transfer, and so even though I'm showing that separately, that is an ongoing transfer from current year money. Okay. All right, I'll move on to the fund balance history. And so here on the fund balance history, you can see that we have the unrestricted, restricted, and combined in column D. So, but we really focus on the restricted. Our ending fund balance at first interim is projected at $23.8 million. We have, our board is fiscally conservative, and I think rightly so as a basic aid district. And so we have the state requires us to have a 3% reserve. We have a 5% reserve. And then there's also a basic aid reserve that is based on a formula that is outlined in board policy. And so that board required reserve is $20.7 million. So the difference between what we have and the board required reserve is $3 million. And then underneath that, I indicate how we're committing those resources. And so I put a note this time, and you can see that we are projecting at first interim that between November and December our cash will drop to $2 million. So on the books, we're paper rich at this point in time. We're showing that we'll have that we have 23 million, but 23 million is receivables. Cash hasn't been received yet. So we book it. This is what we anticipate, but the money hasn't come in. And so fortunately, as you've heard me speak in the past, in December, we do receive a large chunk of change from property tax that gets posted to our books. Sometimes it doesn't come in until January, and they back post it to December 30th. So it always posts to the December 30th books. So we do have to watch that very carefully, but when you understand this, the basic big thing to take away is that we are in very good financial shape, and we do not need to borrow money at this point. We're able to navigate that situation that we experience every year. And then I'll move on. So this is, we are required to give you an idea of what changed from reporting periods. And so this is what I described a little bit earlier. We did update the property tax. We also updated our projection of salaries and benefits. The negotiations that the board approved, the health increase benefit, with the district picking up approximately 86% of that increase, was built into the budget. And it's a bit of a guess because it doesn't hit until December. And when it runs in December, then we get more actual information because the system spreads that out. So we can see that really well. So that's what you're seeing there. I won't go over every item, but that is some idea of things that changed between the two reporting periods on the unrestricted side. And this is the same idea on the restricted side. We had some changes on here as well. So there was a new grant that came in, and so that's been recorded. The school psych you'll see on both because we split code that between general ed purposes and also special ed purposes, because school psychologists do provide services for both general ed students and special ed students. And so the health benefit increase is built into the restricted side as well. Okay, multi-year projections. This is how we build that, the multi-year projection that we're required to do. I always like to point out the statutory benefits. You can see all of the things that we look at, step and column, for example, on the certificated side, we calculate at 1.8%, and we know that that's pretty accurate because we can run reports that really help us do that and not have to keep manual spreadsheets about it. And on the classified side, that is 1.2 per, I'm sorry, it's 1.2 for certificated, 1.8 for classified. And so that is built into the budget. But the statutory benefits you can see going across the fiscal years and how it didn't change between operating budget and first interim. But we paid 22.2% for every certificated person in the district. Every dollar of payroll, we have to contribute 22 cents. And then for the classified side, it's 36.15%. And the large part of this obviously is the STRS and PERS, so the retirement benefits. State retirement systems that we do not have a choice, we have to contribute those amounts to. Here's some additional information here on how we build the budget, and you'll notice those ongoing transfers to deferred maintenance and for bus replacements are there as well. And so this is what we use. We actually have, a system where we go in and we plug these things in and do our calculations. So here it's really, really tiny, and I apologize for that. It's hard to get all of these lines on a slide, but basically you'll notice there. I always like to put in the actuals for the year before for a comparison to see how we're changing from one year to the next. And there's also the first interim report and the 2 years out. And so in the 2 years out, we'll just take a look at that net increase or decrease in yellow. And so the 620 that we have at first interim, and then we're projecting that will go to 709 in 16-17, and in 27-28 that it will drop. And that really is based on our more conservative projection of revenue, because doing a 1-year budget a year in advance is hard enough. When you get out 2 years, we need to be more conservative. So we go more conservative on our revenue projections as those in those out years. And then you also have the restricted side there in yellow in the multi-year projection. And one of the big assumptions that we do, just because it's a common practice, is we say that all of our restricted funds will be spent by the third year out. That rarely happens, but it's an easy way to present it and an understandable way to present it. Okay, so this time I put in just a chart of the unrestricted and restricted, the combined general fund, to see how we're spending dollars. I did not include in this report the unrestricted side, but the salaries and benefits for the combined general fund is $70.4 million, and that represents 80.35% of our expenditure budget. On the restricted side, we're closer to 84, if I remember correctly, 84% or so. Okay, and then you can see where we spend the rest of our funding. And this is just a graphical presentation of that. It represents that a large part of our budget is spent on salaries and benefits. The next largest portion that we spend is in services. There's a lot that goes into those that certain area of spending. So there's a lot that's there, including utilities. And utilities is a large portion of that section of the pie. All right, here's our contributions and transfers from the unrestricted side to the restricted side, and also the transfers to other funds. And so one of the big things here is, I have another chart, but on special ed, you can see that our special ed transfer was increased from the operating budget to the first interim, and I explained some of that at the beginning, some of the reasons why. And then, and so this is all subtotaled. These other funds, they are not self-sustaining. Now, so the child development there's 3 lines there for the child development fund. And so you can see those amounts there and what our projection is. On child development, we had some increased revenue, so we were able to adjust that transfer down a little bit. And I think that is the biggies there. And so I included a history of property tax revenue enrollment and improvement to employee compensation over the past 5 years with the projection for the first interim. And so this, I think what's interesting here, I think when I do this chart again, I might add in the assessed value increase, because it illustrates a picture. It illustrates a story. And so you can see what the tax revenue has been over the years and the increase from the prior year. So for example, in 2021, that net increase from the prior year in property tax was 3.3 million. And you can see how that follows down. In 25-26, the estimate at first interim is the increase will be 3.5 million. And I feel pretty comfortable with, with our estimates for property tax. We're pretty good at that. And we really do look at trends, what's happened in the past. That really helps us, trend analysis. And I also included the percentage increase, so I thought you would find that interesting, and in addition to the enrollment and our change in enrollment. Something that's changed in our change in enrollment is we did not always include all of TK in our figures, and this year we are including our TK eligible students that are attending Universal PK at the Carmelo Child Development Center. So the numbers are, if you looked back, have changed just slightly because of that. And so the other thing that I discovered as I was doing some things is that, I'll talk about that in a second. So there's the enrollment change, and then I included the cost of past negotiation results. And what this shows is that not only have we invested as we can in facilities, we've also clearly invested in our employees that are so important to the district. All right, so this is our other funds. I didn't include that chart. This is the other funds, and so, but it's in your report. The other funds, and so this shows the transfers that are coming from the general fund to make those funds whole, and the projected ending fund balance. So you would want to see that none of those are in zero, that are at zero. So the budget cycle and timelines. I have yellow and green and just a pink. And so this just shows, I always like to mention that many times during the year we're working on 3 budgets at a time and getting things finalized. And so the next time that you'll hear from me on the budget will be in March. And I like this just because it's nice and pretty, and so it kind of shows the other chart that I just showed you in more of a graphical sort of presentation, what the reporting periods that we have to report to our board. Fiscal impacts and challenges. We do have some challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges that I want to communicate is that I believe our ability to sustain what we've always done is being impacted. And so we really do have to have conversations about that. What does that look like? That every time we have somebody leave the district for whatever reason, retirement, or they take a job somewhere else, we're really scrutinizing every position. And that is being proactive to make sure that we can remain competitive in the market and in this area that we live. And so we have a lot to celebrate, and I'm not going to go over all of those challenges. You can read those, but I will mention that that we do have a lot of celebrations. We have strong student engagement, lots of programs for our students. When I look, I really take a deep dive when I do enrollment projections, and that's what I didn't include here. It is included in your report. When I take a deep dive to look at, the course offerings that we have, it helps me with enrollment projections. I'm always really excited and pleased that we're able to offer the offerings that we do for our students, especially when we're really a small high school and we have a lot that's offered to our students. So it's really great. We have exceptional staff. Our strategic plan is really already guiding us. We do not have a conversation in cabinet or in a meeting. When I meet with staff that I supervise, we are always talking about that strategic plan and how is what you're doing supporting that. So it was needed. I'm very pleased that we're working on it, and I think that it is going to, it's already heading us in a better direction, because there was room for improvement. We have competitive compensation goals, we have robust arts and athletic programs, and expanded student wellness supports. So last thing, a special thanks to Robin Voss, the Senior Director of Fiscal Services, and the whole Fiscal Services team. They are professionals, and it takes a great amount of attention to detail and commitment to make sure that this work gets done. And so I'm extremely grateful to the people that I work with. We are very blessed in that area. In every area of our district, our people are our strongest asset. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Yvonne. The board received no requests for public comment, so we'll open up for board discussion or questions, starting with Rita.
I don't really have too many questions, actually, at all. I wanted to thank you for adding, there were some slides that were new that I really appreciate, because it explained some of the questions that I had while I was reviewing the slides, especially like pretty much slides 1 through 10, like there's a couple in there, and the little explanations on the bottom. Usually I always ask, but I didn't get my questions in. So this might be something that I just might ask next time, or just on the side. But in the report itself, I always asked to explain the not met, because sometimes I feel like folks at home might be looking at them and they just kind of wonder, well, what does that mean? And is that a negative, or is it supposed to be that way? But thank you for your presentation. It was comprehensive, and I think I'm really happy that where we're at fiscally, and just as we move forward, just to be more, I guess we're already conservative in our spending, but just to keep an eye on different areas, so we don't get ourselves in trouble in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for this presentation. No questions.
Okay.
Sarah?
Thank you, as usual, for an excellent presentation, not only to you, but also your team, as you mentioned. And it's always bewildering to me how you guys work on 3 budgets at the same time. So I commend all of you for doing that. And I also just wanted to thank you for mentioning that all the discussions that you're having are tying back to the strategic plan that the board approved and that Sharon and the other district staff created. I just think it's really important that as we hear all these presentations, that everything's tying back to that, and everything's tying back to what we're doing for our students, and everything seems to be really student-centric and student-focused. So I'm appreciating all of that folding into the strategic plan. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jake?
The only thing I have to call out is I think the slide on the history of property tax revenue, it's not necessarily consistent one way or the other. Sometimes it's a big increase, sometimes it's a little increase, sometimes it's consistent. Is that something that is normal in other school districts, that type of, the 3 to 20 year averages at the bottom? I don't know if that's what you're calculating here, but that seems erratic to me.
Yeah, it is, and that's what makes it more difficult for a basic aid district to project the revenue. A non-basic aid district, or as we call it, I refer to it as a state-funded district, is it's known. It's pretty well known when they're creating their budget. It does get tweaked here and there a little bit, but they pretty well know what it is. They also get their money 1/12 of their money every month. And so that's helpful in terms of their cash flow. So no, a non-basic aid district has more ability to project what those revenues are going to be. We really don't know until July, a year later, of what our actual revenue was. So the last piece of the revenue comes in, our largest portion is property tax, comes in July. They backdate it to June, so it backdates and closes, helps close that period for cash purposes. So it does bring its challenges, but as I said, we keep a lot of history and do a lot of looking at trend analysis to make those decisions. The reason you're seeing it, it's really interesting. I have 20 years of history of this. It's really interesting. You can look at the assessed value. So I'll give you an example. In 1 year, the assessed value might have increased 5%, and the revenue that came in increased 8%. And I might be exaggerating, but substantially more than the increase in assessed value, and it's due to the timing of collections. So it's when people pay, then we get more. And so that's really hard to predict. That's really, really hard.
Were you raising your hand? Oh. Yeah, no, I just think that slide popped out to me, so I'm glad. It's a lot of work and even more reason to make sure that we're being conservative with what we're doing and on that fiscal side. So I think we're in the right direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne, for compiling all the data, balancing our budget, and guiding us to stay solvent. I appreciate your input always.
Thank you.
Juliet, do you have anything to add or questions?
No, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you all. May I receive a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025-26 first interim budget report with a positive certification as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Romanzi,
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you, Yvonne. Agenda item 4F was removed at the beginning when we adopted the agenda, so we'll move on to the new 4F, which is resolution number 25-21, authorizing agents to enter into contracts, presented by still our chief business official, Yvonne Perez.
Yes, this is an annual resolution that we bring to the board, and the resolution authorizes the superintendent and designated individuals to enter into contracts under the statutory bid limit, and this year we have placed that at $114,800. The state superintendent changes that bid limit every year in January, so we're always running a year behind. But it is the bid limit that it's just like it reads. It's a bid limit that if we have expenses beyond that bid limit, we have to go out for bid for it, formal bid for it. And so I often refer to it as the short, the amount that we can do. It's a small purchases. Even though 114 sounds like a lot, for a district it isn't necessarily, because we purchase a lot. So it is to ensure the timely and efficient district operations. The authority prevents delays caused by waiting for our board meeting. We need to conduct business, so this allows us to move forward with business. Otherwise, we would sometimes have to ask for special meetings when we need a contract right away, and it happens all the time. All contracts are executed under this authority, and they're always brought back to the board for ratification and review. And so this always makes sure everything that that we put on the ratification list, you are seeing it and you still have that oversight. So I am recommending approval of this resolution.
Thank you, Yvonne. We did not receive any requests for public comment, and if we need any board discussion, we'll start with Matt.
I just have a kind of a procedural thing. If the state superintendent updates in January, could we adopt this resolution in February once we have the current, so we're not a year behind? Is there a reason why we don't do that?
Well, we always do it at the annual organization meeting, and I think running a year behind isn't a big deal.
Okay.
It gives us, I think it's okay. But I think you could. I'm not sure of the actual answer to that, but we've always done it in December.
Okay. Sarah
I do not have any questions.
and Jake,
I do not have any questions.
Rita,
No questions.
Juliet, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. May I receive a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 25-21, authority to enter into contracts under $114,800 as presented.
Second.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Agenda item 4G, the Monterey County School Boards Association 2026 Excellence in Education Award. The MCSBA has provided the final list for nominees for the 2026 Excellence in Education Award. Following public comment, I will open the item for board discussion to select our top 3 nominees. After the board votes, the superintendent's office will submit our agreed upon nominations to the MCSBA on the board's behalf. Since we did not receive any requests for public comment, we can open up with board discussion, starting with Sarah. And this is the list that we nominated people to before. We've all seen it a couple times, and it might be worth just nominating the 3 that we added.
That's.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm okay with adding the 2.
We added Stage Kids and we added Kashawa Children's Center, which is, and both of them are in here.
Right.
Yeah, we need to rank them. First choice, second choice, third choice.
So my first choice would be the Kashawa Children's Center. My second choice would be the Stage Kids. And my third choice would be, where did it go? Oh, Wahine, thank you.
I will enter a motion to go with what Sarah suggested. Go with what Trustee Hines suggested, which is nominating Friends of Kashawa Children's Center, Stage Kids, and Wahine Project.
I would second that motion.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
I wanted to make some comments, if that was okay before I vote. I was under the impression that the organizations had to impact the entire county, or is it just our local area, like in Carmel?
I think they were vetted by the county to end up on the list.
Yeah, no, the ones that we submit. The
But
3 that-
everything we submitted was added to the list.
And vetted by the county to go on the list,
Yeah,
is my
county.
understanding.
Yeah, okay.
That was part of our conversation
Yeah,
last time.
last
You're not
time.
wrong.
Yeah,
And we
okay.
said we would submit them and see if they made it on the list or
List,
not.
okay,
And they
right.
all, the 2
Yeah.
that we recommended did make it
Did
into
make
the
on
packet.
list. Okay, that's it. So,
Mhm.
yes.
Thank you.
Can
Next
I
up,
confirm that? Just, we're going with Kashawa Children's Center, Stage Kids, Wahine in that order.
that's what I
That's what we
heard.
just voted, yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just writing it down.
Next is item 5, the information items that were included in the board packet. They were presented to the governing board as items for information purposes only. These items do not require board discussion or action. Included were A, the Title IX quarterly reporting for December through the quarter December 2025, B, Monterey County Treasurer's Report, and C, calendar of board items. And we did not receive any requests for public comments on these items. Next up is item 6, organization of the board. We'll move on to our annual organizational meeting items. Under Education Code and board bylaws, each year the board holds its annual organizational meeting in mid-December. At this meeting, the board is tasked with electing a president, a clerk, and appointing the superintendent as the secretary to the board, authorizing signatures for district approval, approving a schedule of regular meetings and a governance calendar, and designating board representatives to serve on committees or commissions. We'll start with our first item, election of a board president. It's item A. As a reminder, For the responsibilities of what the board president does, per board bylaw 9121, the role is elected annually by the board to provide leadership for the governance team and educational community we serve. The president works with the superintendent to prepare meeting agendas, calls meetings to order, presides over discussions, helps to maintain compliance with board bylaws and the Brown Act, recognizes speakers, and maintains an orderly and focused meeting. The president also signs official documents, appoints committees with board approval, serves as the board spokesperson alongside the superintendent, and leads the board advocacy efforts at the local, state, and national levels. The president retains the same voting rights as all trustees and is encouraged to participate in leadership development opportunities. If the president is absent or resign, the clerk assumes these duties. If both the president and the clerk are absent, the board will appoint a president pro tempore for that meeting. With that overview, we'll now proceed with the annual election for board president. We did not receive any requests for public comment, and we can open it up for board discussion. If it's okay, I'd like to start the conversation. I'd like to nominate Matt Glazier as our next board president. He's attended both of the CSBA annual conferences that have been offered since he's been on the board. He's working on his master's in governance. He was on the policy committee. He's worked on the handbook committee, and he's our liaison to the Monterey County School Boards Association. I think he exemplifies all of these roles as the board president and would do a great job.
I completed the master's in governance, just for the record.
You could have shared that when we spent a week together at CSBA, but it's okay.
I finished it the day before we went.
Are there any other nominations?
I will enter a motion to appoint trustee Matt Glazier as the next year's board president.
I will second that motion, and I would also like to caveat that with agreeing with all of the sentiments that you shared, Jason, about Matt's dedication to leadership development and exemplifying the qualities and the role and responsibility of what the board president holds. I appreciate the fact that you did complete your master's in governance. And again, I know that you're committed to being on the committees and you've been super engaged at the district level, not only at the board, but I know with Sharon as well, and attending your weekly one-on-ones. And I have firsthand experience with you on the policy committee. So thank you for all the hard work that you're putting into being on this board and serving our community and all of our students.
Board President Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Member Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you all, and thank you all for letting me serve. I hope I served you well. With the change in leadership, I think it would be a good idea to take another 5-minute recess so Michelle can pass off the agenda to Matt, and we can kind of pass on the gavel and give him a few minutes.
Sarah says I can make a motion to let you complete your meeting as your final act. And so I would move that Jason complete this meeting, President Remenzi.
Okay.
And that I would assume the role at the conclusion of this meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Board Member Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you all. Next up is agenda item 6B. I really thought I would not be reading these, but here we go. Agenda item 6B, election of the clerk. As a reminder of the responsibilities of the clerk per board bylaws 9123, the clerk is elected annually from among the board members as required by education code. The clerk's duties include certifying or attesting to board actions when required, maintaining records or reports as mandated by law, and signing district documents as directed by the board. The clerk also serves as the presiding officer in the absence of the president and responsible for notifying board members and members-elect of the date and time of annual organization meetings. The board may also assign additional duties to the clerk as needed. The board did not receive any requests for public comment, and we can open it up for board discussion. Let me see who was last. That's Sarah. So it looks like Jake, you are up.
I have had the pleasure of serving as board clerk this last year, and I would like to nominate Trustee Sarah Hines to serve as next year's board clerk. I think Sarah brings a lot of history and context. She's been a excellent leader in this district, and I think she will serve the role as board clerk very well, and I look forward to her. I would look forward to her being board clerk.
I agree with that statement too. I think Sarah would be a good fit for Matt to support him. She's recently been president before I was for, I think, 3 years reigning. And I think that would really help support Matt and bring him into the fold. Rita, do you have any comments or suggestions?
No.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I would welcome serving alongside of you. Period.
I will go ahead and enter a motion to appoint Trustee Sarah Hines as the next year's board clerk.
I'll second.
Board Member Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Clerk Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Member Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you all. Agenda item 6C, the board is asked to appoint the superintendent as the secretary of the board. We did not receive any comments. This is pretty standard procedure, so may I receive a motion to appoint Sharon as the secretary to the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the superintendent, Sharon Ofek, as the secretary of the board.
Second.
Board Member Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Member Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Agenda item 6D, the board is asked to designate board representatives to serve on committees or commissions of the district, other public agencies or organizations for which the district partners or collaborates. The 3 board committees we will elect a representative and an alternative for are Community Human Services, Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board, the Monterey County School Boards Association Executive Council, Legislative Representative Liaison. I think the easiest way to handle this is someone volunteers to be the representative and someone volunteers to be the alternate. And we did not receive any questions for public comment, so I'll open it up to whoever. We'll start with Community Human Services. Do I have a volunteer to represent us with Community Human Services? If Rita does not want to continue it, I'd be happy to take it over.
I don't mind continuing. We're in the, I was going to report later on, but we're in the middle of, I guess, a CEO search. So I think it would be
I think that would be
good if I just continue, since we're kind of in the middle of it.
That would be great. I nominate Rita to represent us for the Community Human Services as the lead. And are there any volunteers for an alternate? And if not, I would willing to be the alternate on that.
I'd move to nominate you as the alternate.
Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion to nominate Rita as the primary for Community Human Services and me as the alternate.
Second.
Board Member Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Member Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you. I look forward to it. Next up is the Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board. I think currently it's Jake. Jake, are you looking to do it, or do we have anybody else who would volunteer to do it?
I would be happy to continue volunteering if that is the will of the board.
And who's the alternate for that, Michelle? Is it me? I'll volunteer to be the alternate on that one too, if it pleases the board.
I'll make a motion to continue with Jake as the representative for the Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board and Jason Remenzi as the alternate.
Second.
Board Member Jason Remenzi,
Yes.
Board Member Jake Odello,
Yes.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines,
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer,
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
All right, and for the Monterey County School Board Association Executive Council Legislative Representative Liaison, I think it's currently Matt. And who is the alternate currently, Michelle?
Rita.
Rita's the alternate?
Yeah.
You're the alternate? Okay.
I'm happy to stay in that role as well.
And Rita, are you happy to stay in that too?
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to make a
Did you
motion.
want to be the primary representative?
It's fine. Either way.
No, I mean, like, I'm genuinely asking if you want to be, if you want to be the primary, it's.
If you'd like me to, I can do that.
Yeah,
And you could be the alternate?
Yeah, I think that would be okay. Yeah,
good?
MCSBA is still working really hard on their organization because they still don't have a meeting plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. So we'll switch roles. We'll switch positions.
Sounds good.
I move to nominate Trustee Rita Patel as the representative to the Monterey County School Board Association Executive Council / Legislative Representative Liaison, with Trustee Matt Glazer serving as the alternate.
I'll second.
Board Member Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Member Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Yes, thank you all for your efficiency. That went really smooth. Next up, item E, resolution number 25-22 to approve the designation of authorized agents for the Carmel Unified School District. And it shows us with Yvonne Perez. Do you present on that, Yvonne? Okay.
Really quick, I usually do, but it is a standard resolution, an annual resolution, and it is required by our County Office of Ed. It just ensures that we have clearly identified individuals that can take care of certain business actions and all those whereas statements on the board's behalf.
Thank you. The board did not receive any requests for public comment. I don't anticipate any comments, so may I receive a motion?
I move to approve resolution 25-22, designation of authorized agents for the Carmel Unified School District.
Second?
Board Member Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Member Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 6F, approve a schedule of regular meetings for the year and a board governance calendar starting the time when the board will address important governance matters. We did not receive any requests for public comments, so may I receive a motion to approve the schedule and regular calendar meetings for the period of July 2026 through June 2027 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Board Member Jason Remenzi.
Yes.
Board Member Jake Odello.
Yes.
Board Clerk Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board President Matt Glazer.
Yes.
Board Member Rita Patel.
Yes.
Well, thank you all. Agenda item 7, public comment on non-agendized items. Members of the public may address the board regarding items or topics within the board's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda at this time, and we did not receive any request for unagendized public comment. Item 8, informal report with Sharon. Do you have an informal report tonight?
Yes, I'll just share one thing, which is that as you have heard us comment this evening, some of us did go to the CSBA conference, and I'm very happy to have had the opportunity to attend this conference with our board members and our student board member. Her session was like a pre-conference, so we would probably cross paths along Highway 5 or something, because she was finishing as I was arriving. But I'm glad that everybody was able to attend who did attend, and that I hope everyone found it rewarding in terms of their opportunity to learn or explore new things and opportunities that boards can engage in. So just to share out, we did attend, and it was good.
Thank you, Sharon. Next is item 9, board committee reports. These are routine committee updates from the CUSD Board of Education board representatives for the Community Human Services, Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board, and the Monterey County School Boards Association Executive Council Legislative Representative Liaison. We'll start with the first report from our Community Human Services representative, Rita Patel.
We have another meeting tomorrow, but the priority pretty much for a lot of our meetings has been the search for a new CEO. No updates really, and I'll report something when we have something.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll hear from Mission Trails Regional Occupation Executive Board Representative Jake Odello.
The big item to report, I reported in our last meeting. We've not had a meeting since then, but they did have their large CT advisory meeting and dinner over in the Salinas area on that first week of December. I was not able to go, but I hear it went very well. That beginning of December time is just there's a lot that happens in there. So unfortunately, we weren't able to attend, but I heard it went well, and that's all I have.
Thank you. And lastly, the MCSBA Executive Council Legislative Representative Liaison, Matt Glazer.
No report.
Thank you. Item 10, closed session. Before adjourning to closed session, the board will identify closed session items and provide an opportunity for public comment on these items. A, appeal of complaint under AR 4030, Government Code 54957, Subdivision B1. B, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, Subdivision D1, Monterey County Superior Court Case number 23CV 003167, Davy Christine versus Carmel Unified School District. C, conference with labor negotiator pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, agency designated representative Craig Chavez, employer organizations CSEA, ACT, and non-represented groups. D, public employee discipline, dismissal, release pursuant to Government Code 54957, Subdivision B1. The board did not receive any requests for public comment, and now the board will adjourn into closed session at 8:07 p.m. Good evening. Coming out of closed session, the board reports the following. For item 10A, the board did not discuss this item. For item 10B, the board received a legal update from legal counsel regarding the case referenced on the agenda. For item 10C, the board received an update from district staff and provided direction. For item 10D, the board received an update from district staff. I adjourn this meeting at 9:15 p.m. Thank you.